Hey, Cryptizens. Tonight's stories. Bored Ape Yacht Club owner swapped his ape for junk. Sweden says E-Krona ready to go. Another day, another stablecoin bill. It's 10 p.m. Pacific time. The date is April 6th, 2022. Welcome back to the Crypto Overnighter. I'm your host, Nick. The cover model for this podcast is Tex, and together we take a nightly look at the crypto, NFT, and metaverse space and the industry that surrounds it. We bring you new stories on familiar topics. And keep in mind, nothing in this show should ever be considered financial advice. So, we have got a Bitcoin mayor. A few of them, actually. Politicians who are taking a stand as the chief executive for their local government. And they're taking a stand with Bitcoin. And Mayor Francis Suarez is one of them. He was giving remarks at the opening of this year's Bitcoin 2022 conference. He was giving his impression of what the future could hold. He called it Vision for Bitcoin in America 2024. And that year was not selected by accident. In fact, his remarks might stir up some political rumors, because what he said was, quote, "Yes, the next president of the United States has to be a pro-Bitcoin candidate. What's at stake is federal legislation that could either propel us into the next generation or set us back." And that seems to mean that he stands in kind of direct opposition to President Biden's stance on crypto, where President Biden, through his executive order, pushed for urgent development of a CBDC. Biden said the U.S. was falling behind China. Suarez sees things differently. He says that we should, quote, never agree on anything with Russia and China. He also said that his second goal was to integrate Bitcoin into every aspect of our society. That's a direct quote. He said, quote, "We need to make sure we can go to a convenience store and buy Snickers with a Satoshi." And his third stated goal was to unleash the macro power of Bitcoin. That means allowing it to democratize and create wealth for poor communities and maintain that wealth through resisting inflation. Those all sound like worthy goals to me. Now, before we get into tonight's stories, let's take a quick look at the markets. At the time of writing, the global crypto market cap is $2.13 trillion. It's down 1.01 since yesterday. The top five cryptos by market cap are Bitcoin down 1.04%, Ethereum up 1.52%, Tether, Binance Coin up 1.05%, and USDC. The global NFT market cap is up over $10.16 billion. It's down 1.4% in 24. According to CoinMarketCap, the top five NFT collections by sales volume are Mutant Apes up 0.03%, Bored Apes up 1.04%, Pudgy Penguins up 0.04%, Cool Cats up 0.43%, and Azuki down 0.04%. Keep in mind, some of these collections have very volatile prices, so do your own research. Bored Ape Yacht Club owner swapped his ape for junk. So a lot of these times, these kind of stories kind of have a, well, it was sort of your fault feel to them, like you should have known better, or I would never have done that. I don't know that this is one of those times. Meet S27. S27 is an NFT collector, and S27 had collected some very nice pieces. In this case, they thought they were going to make a deal, and they thought that they were swapping their Bored Ape and a couple of Mutant Apes for somebody else's apes. That's not what happened. Because while they did trade off their Bored Ape and their Mutant Apes, they did not get what they expected. Instead, what they got was worthless JPEGs. And this really highlights the difficulties and the problems in dealing with NFTs when there is not a solid method of discerning authenticity before you click accept. Plus, this is why there's a problem. Notice I said S27 wanted to swap their NFTs. So if you go to somewhere like OpenSea, there's a lot of fees involved. Person A has to list their item or items, and then they pay a transaction fee for each and every item listed for sale. Then person B, they have to go buy the item, one at a time, paying a transaction fee for each item processed. So that's a minimum of 2 transactions per item. And then there's no way to coordinate all that out. Some people see it just not as being as good as a direct swap where you can swap a group of things. You can't really handle a package deal like that through an NFT marketplace. Enter KiwiSwap. KiwiSwap does just what it says it does. It's an NFT swapper, and it lets 2 parties barter their NFTs in a single transaction. So that saves a ton on fees, right? It's an awesome tool, or it would be, except there's a serious flaw involved, and I'll get to that in a minute. So S27 puts up their NFTs, one decently rare Bored Ape and a couple of mutant apes. S27 popped those NFTs into KiwiSwap. They looked at what their counterpart offered, and they clicked accept. That's when they found out they got cheap, knockoff, junk NFTs. But when S27 looked at the trades in KiwiSwap, there was a check mark. When the NFTs were displayed in KiwiSwap, I'm going to say it again, there was a check mark, a clear mark of authenticity. That blue check mark we're all used to seeing. But what happened is, the rogue actor knew of a simple vulnerability in KiwiSwap. And by the time the deal was done, that thief had NFTs worth over $570,000, and S27 had nothing but a bitter taste in their mouth. Because what that scumbag thief did was they photoshopped the checkmark directly onto a copy of the Bored Ape that they were pretending to sell. You see, KiwiSwap puts the checkmark directly on the picture. It's not off to the side, it's not on the frame, it's right in the picture. So if you upload that picture but with a checkmark already on it, it looks like KiwiSwap has validated that that NFT is part of a collection. See, it's a very simple scan. Until KiwiSwap moves the location of the verification checkmark to a different part of the interface, people are going to be vulnerable to this scam. So unless they make that change, I would have to tell people not to use KiwiSwap. There's just no way to tell whether something is authentic or not within that app. Not financial advice, of course. Sweden says the E-Krona is ready to go. What they're finding is that the E-Krona will work, but there are some potential privacy hazards involved. Sweden's central bank, Riksbank, said they are technically ready to integrate the E-Krona into their system. It's ready for banks and for payment providers. So the E-Krona has been through 2 rounds of testing. And this second round of testing was focused on whether E-Krona could technically function within the existing banking infrastructure. Handelsbanken and other banks were included in this testing, so it wasn't just one bank. Remember, recently there have been a few initiatives to come up with a digital form of payment that doesn't require an internet connection. eCash is one of those we just talked about recently. So their report on E-Krona is that you can use it online and offline. It also brought into clarity the answer to the question, should a CBDC be regarded as an electronic form of cash from a legal standpoint? That said, there are some questions, especially where the offline capabilities are concerned. Unlike the eCash solution where the money just totally exists as digits on your device, there's no ledger, there's no transaction log, there's no way to trace the transactions. So if you were to lose that device, which might be your smartphone, you lose that money because there was never a way to prove that you still had it. Additionally, I'm sure that there are enterprising young scumbags out there eager to find out how to miraculously add electronic cash to their device. Electronic cash that shouldn't be there, has no right to be there. And it doesn't do much to alleviate my concerns over money laundering and terrorist funds. That's beside the point. Apparently, the E-Krona doesn't work that way. It keeps a transaction history. And because that's true, more information gets shared between the actors than normally would. So this could cause problems where the EU's General Data Protection Regulation is concerned. That's where those tough privacy laws, they really come into play. The report said, quote, consultation with the Swedish and European data protection authorities may be necessary to clarify how a solution based on DLT blockchain technology relates to data protection regulations. Now, there are things about the Riksbank report that really gloat about. Having a CDBC would allow smart contracts and allow the system to have control over where payments go. So automatic payments, when a contract is fulfilled, is a possibility. The report said, quote, concepts such as programmable money, and smart payments are often said to be the future of payments, and this is used as an argument in favor of the new technology. And as far as what the future holds, it said, quote, we want to test and explore how such solutions can be used to create new payment services and why they would be more effective than more traditional technologies. Now, personally, I have not been shy about making my feelings on CDBCs known. I think there are huge privacy issues. I also have dramatic concerns about the control a central bank digital currency would give to that central bank. And look at the abuses of government on their people. I don't think my concern is unfounded. Another day, another stablecoin bill. So this one's called the Stablecoin Trust Act. And you know how these stupid things are. Of course, they have to have a silly acronym. Okay, so you ready? The Stablecoin Transparency of Reserves and Uniform Safe Transactions Act of 2022. Stablecoin Trust Act. Come on, guys, you guys are way too hard here. Anyway, this would plug some regulatory empty holes, but would also force disclosure and redemption requirements. It was put forth by Senator Patrick Toomey. He's a Republican senator out of Pennsylvania. He is also the ranking member of the Senate Banking Committee, so pay attention. As written, a new definition would be created for what they're calling a payment stablecoin. The bill would have the Office of the Comptroller of the Currency create a new license, and this license would be for stablecoin issuers. Additionally, it would allow insured depository banks to issue stablecoins. And finally, there would be some state regulatory oversight. But before people get too excited about this, there's a couple things to be aware of. One, this is what's being called a discussion bill. It's not really intended to become law, although that's certainly possible. Also, Toomey is not seeking re-election, so he's done at the end of this year. He'd have 8 months to do anything to chart a path forward if it doesn't get finished in Congress by 2023. But it does do its job. It stirs up some much needed discussion. Needed because, as Senator Toomey says, quote, I think there's a growing awareness that this category is not going away. One of the things discussed is the role of the stablecoin in the U.S. economy. Because while currently they're mostly used for crypto trades, Toomey suggested, rightly I would say, that they have the potential to become financial instruments across the economy as a whole. He said, quote, they have the potential, among other things, to speed up payments, automate transactions. The proposed regulatory framework I'm releasing today will allow this crypto innovation to continue flourishing while protecting consumers and minimizing potential risks from stablecoins to the financial system. And that's going to do it for us tonight. Thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate it. So tell me, would you vote for a president just because they're a Bitcoiner? Are you a one-issue voter? If so, does it have to be Bitcoin or could it be cryptocurrency in general? Would finding out a candidate collects NFTs, would that get you to vote for them? Well, tell me what you think. Send me an email at nick@cryptoovernighter.com. All one word. That's nick@cryptoovernighter.com. Oh, and check out my other podcast, Crypto in 5 Minutes. We're up to 39 educational podcasts, 5 minutes to explain one concept in crypto. And as always, may peace reign.